Hello and welcome to OurTime. Over the past month, Adelaide has been inundated with performers from all over the planet, and I'm lucky to be talking to two of them in this episode. So now it's all over. What did they think and why did they come all the way from Canada? Welcome Lauren Brady, who is an award-winning performance creator born on Treaty 7 territory in Calgary, and Meegan Sweet, who is a queer, neurodivergent, multidisciplinary artist who is a performer and a director of Lauren's show, Odette. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
We've spent a little bit of time together in the last couple of weeks.
We have.
Because of the Fringe, and you're at my theatre, so what did it all mean for you coming across to the Fringe? Because we'd been talking on the phone quite a bit long distance before.
Yeah, it was quite interesting to figure out how to produce a show on the other side of the world.
Quite.
There was a lot of nights of me staying up till 11 p.m. and making phone calls to you, just being like, what's the venue like? Is there lights? How does one sell tickets? And you were so helpful. Very grateful for all of your help.
Not at all.
And it's learning a whole different beast compared to Canada, because in Canada, the Fringe is run by lottery. So your name goes into a hat, and you hope that you get picked, and then go from there. And then if you don't get the lottery, you can try to buy a venue, but it's very competitive. And that's how it kind of works in Canada. Whereas over here, you have to find a theater, you have to sometimes find a producer. I couldn't find a producer, so I produced it all myself. And you have to market it yourself. So it's learning a lot more different hats than just performing and writing. You gotta figure out how to get people there, gotta figure out the demographic of the area, and doing that on the other side of the world was a little challenging, but I think it was a good first try.
But did either of you understand that the Fringe is like a total statewide thing? A lot of people who live in Adelaide think it's just in the East End parklands, but in fact it's everywhere. Did you understand that?
Yeah, I was actually approached by a venue that was like a 30-minute flight away.
Okay.
That's opening in March, and they're like, oh yeah, we're still a part of the Fringe. Yes. It's just a quick 30-minute flight away.
Well, that's like, one of those funny things that people don't entirely understand, that the Fringe is everywhere, and it can be quite statewide. What did you know about the Fringe before you came?
I knew that it was in Adelaide and that it was in Australia.
Where Adelaide was?
No, I didn't know that there was even like states here separating them.
Aren't there states in Canada though?
No, provinces.
Provinces.
That's the United States. They got the states.
Oh, okay. Because you wouldn't want to follow them.
No.
No. So the provinces are the same as states.
Basically,
aren't they?
Yeah, they just didn't like the word, I guess.
Because the United States had states.
Yeah, they were like, nope, we're not taking that word.
I get that. Being sort of toe-to-toe with the US, is that a good thing for you guys? It's like, is that a good thing that you've got that competition beneath you?
I don't know. As a creator and a producer, I'm also a young producer. I've only been doing it for about 2 years. It hasn't affected me that much, just because I'm still in the beginning stages of finding my audience. Where do I go?
Well, you're both performers. That's the thing. Let's talk about you for a minute. What's your quite different to in Australia, the universities, because obviously we make a program here in the university in Adelaide, but the universities don't have, for example, clown curriculum to take up.
Yeah, it's actually...
Is that what you took up?
Yeah, so, I took a Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting at the University of Alberta, as well as a creation and performance diploma at Red Deer College, which is a little city in Alberta. So within that curriculum, you're going to learn, it's a conservatory, so you're there all the time. You're there 6 days a week, 9 to sometimes 9. Yep. And you're going to learn your Shakespeare, you're going to learn your basics, like all of your like classics, and then they also teach a clown unit. Do they do Shakespeare with an English accent? No.
Okay.
No, it's I mean, we do learn accents separately, like we learn IPA, but we.
No, it's just funny to hear Americans doing to be or not to be.
Yeah.
That is the question. It's just not quite, doesn't quite sound the same to us.
It's funny because I think since we've been here, no one has really noticed that we're Canadian right away.
I think most people think we're American.
Yeah, and I think part of it could be because, well, one, we're not kind of coastal, like you'll hear a lot of that, or especially in like Toronto more so sometimes if you're like born there. But also being in the conservatory program, you learn how to do all the dialects, and you kind of learn your own idiolects, and I think you kind of got a neutral-ish
you have got a sort of a neutral-ish accent.
Yeah.
Except when you just say
Yeah.
yes. We put the S on. Yes. And your background too in your education.
Yeah. Well, I grew up as You got me.
Did
you got me.
Oh no, that's a bit Western. Did.
I grew up as a dancer, and then I went to university.
How old were you when you started?
I was 3. That's
the age that most dancers start.
Yeah, my mum saw me and she was like, that one, she's a dancer. So she started me quite young. And I loved it. And I grew up dancing. And then in university, I didn't really know what to do. So I took a drama course and absolutely fell in love with acting. And I was like, okay, this is my thing. I'm going to train at the best place I can find, which at the time was the University of Alberta, which is where Meegan also went to. And through that, I took the clown course. And I just knew within an instant, I've never felt something more true before. Being like,
oh, really? That's wonderful.
I can remember
Not everybody
exactly.
finds that.
Yeah, I feel very, very lucky. I remember exactly where it happened. I remember exactly where I was looking and the feeling I had in my gut just being, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Brilliant.
And
did you feel the same?
Yeah, actually, I...
She said yeah too.
Yes, actually. I found I was going through a really rough time in my life in my, I think it was my second last year during the degree. And I was kind of at my wit's end, and I'd actually just come back from a psychiatric hospital where I was struggling with mental health issues.
Is this the neurodivergent?
So that's ADHD.
Okay.
I
You've
have
got
ADHD, and I also suffer from depression. I've had it all my life, and a little bit of general anxiety just sprinkled in.
But do you think though that's also part of what makes a performer? You've got to be, it's a funny thing to say, but different to the average person, because that's what you've got to work with, that bag of tools to make the art, or to make the show, or to make the whatever you're doing. Yeah,
I mean, it definitely, I would say in terms of like emotional experiences, I have a lot to choose from when I have my my tools in my tool bag, so to say, when I'm working on a show.
Well, that's what an actor has to do, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's just really important, what I've been learning as well, is just like emotional kind of sustainability, especially because I know that I can be really vulnerable when I get to those emotional places, that I just need to pull back and, take care of me.
So did you find it difficult to direct her in the show?
No, actually directing is a little bit easier because I don't have to go there.
You don't have to.
No, I just say,
they just got to make me go there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
No, I didn't finish your background. So you were at uni. You decided acting was the thing.
Yeah.
You'd come from you trained classically because you work on point in the show.
Yeah, I do.
So how did that morph together for you? How did you start to create work that involved both skills?
I love movement. I'm such a physical person. If I could roll around on the ground all day and make art that way, incredible.
But I love the story that the place you were staying in here, and is it an Airbnb that you're staying in Adelaide?
No, we're staying with a wonderful woman, Caroline, and I hope you're okay with me saying your name, Caroline.
We say that too.
Okay, cool. And
Carolyn.
Yeah, and she's so generously hosting us and putting us up, and has supported us so greatly, which is just really, really awesome. It's helped us out quite a bit.
Yeah. But with transport, she helped you out quite a bit.
Yeah, she drove us here today.
Amazing.
Yeah, she drove us here today.
Yeah, explain though, what did she do for transport for you?
She has 2 electric bicycles that she has just lent us for the time that we've been here, and honestly, thank goodness, because I would not be able to just actually bike. The amount that we've been doing, I couldn't do it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
You've been everywhere.
Yeah. Yes.
Amazing. Well, getting back to the show and getting back to the Fringe itself. So we were talking before about coming to the other side of the world and the different type. This is an open access platform, the Fringe here in South Australia, or the Adelaide Fringe, being the second largest in the world. So you came over, you didn't really know the lay of the land. The whole show is over now. What were your final impressions from coming over? What has it meant to you?
Yeah, I learned a lot. My final impressions are, now I know what to do next year. Now I know like the comedy contacts in Adelaide, which is very, very helpful when you're doing a comedic show.
Yep.
I know the best ways to like get audiences. I know the best ways to
lasso them and drag them in, I'd say. And you did a lot of that.
I did a lot of that, did a lot of flyering. I know the best ways just to communicate with people in Adelaide now. And a lot of that stuff you have to find out here. I tried the best I could on the other side of the world. I tried my best through like emails and phone calls, but a lot of it was physically talking to people, meeting people, listening to their stories, and just relating on that like human connection. And,
well, that's what the Fringe is for, really.
Yeah.
Look, we're going to come back shortly and show you a little bit of the show that you've done, which was called Odette. And if that sounds like Odette, then you might be close to what the show was about. We'll see you in a tick. And welcome back. Lauren, Brady and Meegan Sweet are our guests. They're from Canada. They've been here for the Adelaide Fringe. It's post-Fringe conversation. We have a lot of pre-Fringe conversations, but finding out what people feel that have come from another place, another country to ours. You came from winter to summer. That must have been a bit of a shock.
I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a little sweaty. I've had a little bit of a hard time with it. But yeah, back home they are actually having a big snowstorm right now.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're going back soon, so put on the woolly jumpers. All right, let's talk about the show. And we've got a clip here from the show. So have a look at this because it sort of gives you an idea, and we'll explain it as we look at it. Most people sort of know, I guess, the story of Swan Lake, or vaguely know the story of Swan Lake. And it's really odd. A lot of classical ballet pieces have really daft stories, and the story is a bit daft. The thing is, you've taken the story and looked at it backwards to me, in a way. That's how I would express it. Let's have a look at the clip so that we know what we're talking about. Now, that's you. I love the little arrangements on the stage there because you made them, Meegan, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Because in your other life you are...
I'm a florist, yeah.
Yes.
When I'm not doing theatre.
And they were fabulous.
Thank you.
Now, this, obviously you're on point. How are your feet?
Oh, they're fine. Yeah, I do have to do quite a bit of conditioning before doing a run of the show. I usually condition for at least 2 weeks up to a month, just making sure that I really train.
Right. And obviously you're being the swan at this point.
Yeah.
Or was she a princess transferred to a swan?
There's a couple different variations out there. A couple different versions of the ballet, as well as films and Barbie movies. And some of them she's a princess, some of them she's just a young girl. In mine, I've chosen more of the direction of the young girl.
Right.
And the young woman.
A young woman who gets turned into a swan by an evil...
sorcerer. He was just so in love with her beauty and he wanted to marry her. She said no.
So he turned her into a swan because she said no.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense, yes.
Yeah, with the hope that every night he'd like also sometimes go down to propose to her again in hopes that, well, if you marry me and get my oath of undying love, then you're free.
You can come back.
Yeah.
Okay. And then a prince comes out with his bow and arrow thing.
Yeah, and tries to hunt her because he sees this beautiful
She's a swan.
But then he sees her turn into this beautiful woman and thinks, wow, I think I might actually love this woman, but I'm going to invite her to my ball first, make sure like the parents approve. And that's when the sorcerer finds out and transforms the black swan to trick the prince. And the prince ends up giving his oath of love to that black swan and not Odette, the white swan, and she kills herself in the ballet. Yeah.
Such a happy story.
Such a happy story.
But what you make of the story is actually very funny. Very funny because of what you do with the audience.
Yeah.
I love the spray water that you give to the people in the front row so they can squirt it at you
for
when
my
you're tired.
tears.
Yes, when your tears and so on. And I love the fact that in the little theatre that you performed, it had this lovely sort of ambience with the show that was actually quite believable with your little set piece. It just set it all off that it could have been a lake.
Mm-hmm.
What possessed you to make a story or to use that story? Because it's hard to explain. It's a comedy piece.
Yeah.
Well, better you explain it.
Yeah. So something that was really fascinating me is something that I started calling damsel syndrome. Of like, I grew up watching princess films. I loved Barbie films, and all of them are about you need a prince, and then you find true love, and then you're free, you're happy.
They don't talk about what happens 10 years later, though, do they?
No. So I thought, but how sustainable is that? And how is that how you get happiness? Is you need to find a man and then you're happy. So I took Swan Lake and really analyzed it and put a lot of my own life into it as well, and some of my like past relationships, just really thinking about them, being like, no, I can be happy on my own, but why is it as a society still deeming that we need to have a man in order to be happy? So I kind of wanted to advertise that to an audience, saying, okay, this story is like 175 years old, and I also have some pop music in it, which is ranging from the 80s to the 2000s, and I also speak like a modern contemporary woman, saying, so this story goes back hundreds of years, but we still need them.
Yeah, not a lot has changed.
Not a lot has changed, and why is that?
Don't ask me. I'm just a dumb old man.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. You're quite right.
Yeah.
Humanity doesn't really change much in reality. So you wrote the script initially, and you two sort of were put together by past teachers. Is that how it happened?
Yeah. So I have been making work for the past 2 years now, and I was writing the show, and I really wanted someone with like a feminine experience to direct it, because I've only ever worked with male directors in the past, and the show's all about being seen from the male gaze, and I just thought, okay, it's not really right if I get a man to direct this. And one of my mentors, Mike Kennard, who is a famous clown in Canada, and he recommended Meegan. So then I started working with Meegan.
So you contacted Meegan and said, here's the script, what can you do with this?
Yeah, and clown scripts are like a little bit different, because what I originally had is very different than what we have now, because as like a clown director as well, you collaborate a lot with them. So we like made a lot of the bits in the room just by Meegan throwing ideas at me, and then I'm playing with them a little bit, and then I'd write that down. So it became a very collaborative process.
How long was the collaboration?
Like a month.
A month?
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. And then we did another month of like rehearsals, and then because we did a workshop before we came out here. So
right.
Yeah.
Were other people involved in that, or was just the two of you working together?
It was mainly the two of us, but we did get like a lot of outside eyes, because you've seen the show. It's very interactive, and a lot of the times you don't know if those interactions work until you have an audience. So we selected some people in the community who we felt we could trust with like early stages of work, and did small showings, and we also had two mentors on the process, Michael Kennard and Karen Hines. Yeah,
it makes a big difference. But the look that you ended up with is amusing as well, and what you do with it is amusing as well. So it's very close in many ways to sort of stand-up comedy with a purpose. Would you agree? How did you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of more so follows the style of like Neo Buffon and kind of clown, and then comedy.
Yeah, it's
in terms of the styles, but like.
Well, how would you define clown then to us? Because clown to us is still very much sort of the red nose and the fuzzy hair.
Oh yeah, like I mean, Pachenko. We've learned Pachenko clown, which is a type of Canadian clowning by Richard Pachenko, and Mike and John were actually his last students.
Is that an influence that like organisations like Cirque du Soleil has picked up? Or is that,
I don't think so.
For people that have seen that, or just making that question because their style of clown is different to our understanding of clown.
Yeah, I know a lot of people when they hear the word clown, they do think the like, and that is so not it. I'm actually afraid of clowns. I got berated by one when I was 13 at a parade, and I hate clowns. I always have.
So you went and studied
clown.
So I went and
studied clown.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, like red-nosed clowning and just the art of pachinko clown to me is a lot about being present and kind of being like permeable. So when you're with an audience, you find the magical space, which is where you are and where the audience is and where they intersect, and they're with you. And what you give to them, they'll give back to you. And how do you take that and give it back?
I think that's common in all performance. If you're really doing your job properly, you've got to share the experience. It's not a one person. It's not a look at me, aren't I fabulous? It's what are we getting together?
Yeah, exactly.
Because a live performance will only happen once. That way. Every performance, you must have found this, is quite different because you rely on people in the audience.
Yeah, because in this, I love that there's no fourth wall. I love that I can see every single audience member in the house. I love that when someone coughs, I ask if they have a frog in their throat. And when an ambulance goes by...
Great line. Sitting in a swamp. Great line.
Yeah, I love that when an ambulance goes by, you can be like, I hope everyone's okay. Because it just reminds the audience as well that we are in a shared space.
But is that because you've got a stock group of lines for all those different things?
No, sometimes I just get lucky and I say something funny.
I know. I wish I could say something funny now, but I'm about to say, we'll be back in a tick. Our guests have been Lauren Brady and Meegan Sweet, who are both from Canada and have been here with the Fringe. Where do you go next?
Back to Canada. Yeah, I have a couple festivals there, and then I'm off to the UK for a bit to train with Spy Monkey Physical Theatre, and then hopefully maybe Edinburgh. Thinking about it.
For the Fringe there, world's biggest Fringe. What, for you, Meegan's your next thing?
I am performing my solo show. I got picked up by a festival here in Edmonton. So that'll be my first go at it in end of May. And then I'll be doing it at the Edmonton Fringe.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Just best of luck to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Because your life as performers is really just sort of starting, what's your ultimate goal, do you feel? Have you got a map going into the future yet?
I know that I just want to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I know that whatever opportunities present themselves, I know that that's the next right thing for me to do. And
I think that's absolutely the only attitude you can have in this business. I think you've just got to be very single-minded and hope for the best. Exactly. And if you have to wash dishes, well, you just have to do that in between. For you?
Yeah, I think creating work that is important to me because I need to get my message out there, and there's no way I can do it without being
creative. And what is your message, do you think?
Well, I think speaking to, which I think Lauren did a really great job with OADED, speaking to especially social issues right now. I go from my perspective of my lived experience of being queer and neurodivergent and suffering from mental health issues. So I try to make things like that funny.
But you're being positive with it at the same time.
Yeah.
And that must have an effect on you as well.
Yeah, for a really long time. I mean, also it was a different time, but nobody ever talked about it. It still had a really big stigma, and I wish that someone could have said that they were going through what I was going through, because I thought I was just the only one. Actually,
that's what's great about a program like this. We can talk to all sorts of people about all sorts of things that maybe wouldn't get airtime on free-to-air television, and that's why community television is so important in this country. I don't know if you have it in Canada, do you?
I don't know.
I don't know.
What Gem is.
Oh, there you go.
Is that
See?
Maybe. Nobody really has cable anymore.
No, everyone has Netflix.
But this isn't cable. This is free-to-air.
Oh, we don't have that.
Just dial up your TV and you're away.
I don't know.
Anyway, we have to undial our TV because it's time. Thank you so much. It's been really great being able to talk with you now, but it's been great to know you over the past few weeks as well. And good luck to both of you in the future.
Thank you so much, Mel.
So until next time on Our Time, keep yourself nice till then. See ya.